Okay, so if you are looking for the best possible settings for the PS5 Modern Warfare 3 beta, look no further. Hey guys, what's good? How we doing? Welcome back to the channel. All right, so in today's video, we will be going over the best settings you should be using for the PS5 Modern Warfare 3 beta. I will be going over my personal opinions and we'll be comparing it to what pros usually use. Don't get that many graphics settings on a PS5 compared to PC, but the controller settings definitely are important. These ones can affect how well you can play the game. All right, so before we get into today's video, if you guys want to show me some support, be sure to hit that like button. If we could get this video to at least 15 likes, you guys would be absolutely incredible. Also, friendly reminder, I do stream over on Twitch, so if you ever want to catch me live, definitely go over there, hit the follow button. The link should be down in the description below. All right, guys, so with all that out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, guys, so we are in the settings for the PS5 Modern Warfare 3 open beta. We're going to go over the controller settings and the graphics settings. We'll start with controller because that's first. So for in the input device, obviously controller, I would not recommend trying to play mouse and keyboard on the PS5 because there's a massive input delay, but if you really want to, you can try it out. So these first few things, they're not that important. I'm not really going to go over them. Controller vibration, that's all up to you. I don't even have vibrators in my controller, so that doesn't matter for me. The first important one is dead zone inputs. So if we open this up more, you got left stick min, left stick max, right stick min, right stick max. The only ones that matter are the minimum ones. So what this really means is left stick min, that's the lower the number is, the less you have to move your analog stick for it to trigger the game to recognize you moving your analog stick. So the lower the number, the less you have to move your stick for your camera to move in the game. So the goal is to get this as low as possible because that will let you have faster reaction times. The only downside is if the number is too low and you have stick drift on your analog sticks, it will be noticeable. So I usually keep mine at 3. Sometimes there is a little bit noticeable stick drift, but it doesn't really matter unless it's really, really bad. So try and get this as low as possible until you don't notice stick drift. The left stick max does not really matter, so I always keep that at 99. And the L2 and R2 button dead zone, since I use a scuff and it has insta click, mouse click triggers, this does not really affect me. And I honestly think if you just keep this on the standard number, that would be fine. So let's move over to aiming. This is where it gets a little bit more important. We got the horizontal stick sensitivity and the vertical stick sensitivity. You usually want to keep these two numbers the same. The standard number that most players play on is 6. That's always what a lot of the pro players play on. A lot of the competitive players, they play on 6. So I usually keep mine around 6. Sometimes I'll bump it up to 9 if I'm feeling good on my aim. But if you're a little bit more of a casual, more of a beginner player, try on 6. If 6 feels a little bit too fast for you, bump it down to 4 and then try and work your way up. But always try and have 6 be your main goal as to what number to have it on. The ADS sensitivity multiplier, this can come in handy a lot, especially if you're in a lot of close range engagements. I usually tend to have this at least 0.9 if I'm at 6. If I'm at 9 sensitivity, I might change it down to 0.8. But it's all up to preference. I would just try and play around with this number, hop into games, see what feels best for you. But the lower you have the ADS sensitivity multiplier, if a guy is really up close and he's flying across your screen, it might just help a little bit to have a more consistent aim with this number not being at 1. So the vertical aim axis sensitivity multiplier, this doesn't really matter. Next most important thing is the aim response curve type. So most players, competitive and pro players, play on dynamic. That's usually the suggested one. Sometimes if you're a beginner player, it might be a little difficult to start on dynamic. So what I would suggest, if dynamic feels good to you, keep it on dynamic because that's what you should be on. If it feels a little too hard to aim with dynamic, start on standard and then work your way to dynamic. But always try and have dynamic be your end goal for what you have this setting on. The ADS sensitivity multiplier focus, I don't really change that much. I have it at 1. And then ADS sensitivity transition timing, have this on instant. That's what most players have on. That's what I have on. That's why I suggest having it. Feels the best. Now the custom sensitivity per zoom. This only really applies if you use a lot of more high scoped weapons, if you're a sniper, or if you use a lot of scopes on your guns that are 3 times or more magnification. For this beta, I don't really think that will matter, so I would suggest keeping this off. The only thing you really need to worry about is the normal ADS sensitivity multiplier, which, like I said, try and have that a little bit below 1. So for target aim assist, obviously have this on. This is probably the most important section of settings to adjust. Aim assist type, have it on default. You got default precision focusing Black Ops. Most players have been saying default is the best, so I would suggest keeping it on default. Going down to the rest of this, the motion sensor aiming, I don't even really know what this would affect, so I would just consider having this off. And then let's move on over to gameplay. So for movement behaviors, a lot of players like playing on automatic tactical sprint. I like playing with automatic tactical sprint. It just lets you have a little bit faster mobility in general. You don't really have to worry about constantly pressing the sprint button. You just move your analog stick forward and you get straight into a tactical sprint. So I would suggest trying to have it on that. The next ones don't really matter if you have automatic tactical sprint on. The automatic airborne mantle, have that on. A lot of this stuff is kind of up to your preference. Actually, the invert slide and dive behavior, I would suggest having that on standard. Inverted might be a little weird. Next important ones is definitely sprinting door bash, have that on, and then ledge climb behavior, have that on movement base. That will help you climb ledges a little bit faster, and you don't have to be constantly like spamming buttons on your controller. Combat behaviors, have ADS sight I can't speak. Aim down sight behavior, have that on hold. Change zoom shared input, sprint tactical sprint focus, equipment behavior hold. Some of this other stuff is up to your preference. Most important one is the interact reload behavior, have that on prioritize interact. This especially comes into play once you start playing Warzone, because you have all that loot on the ground. It's definitely best to have this on prioritize interact. For weapon mount exit delay, definitely have this on instant. All right, guys, so now we are on the graphics side of things. Now, compared to PC graphics settings, the PS5 does not have nearly as many options to mess around with, but I'm just going to go over the ones and give my personal take on what I think you guys should have them on. So on-demand texture streaming, it says high quality textures are downloaded from the internet as you play the game. I would suggest having this off unless you think you have really good internet. It might affect your gameplay, your frames, just the overall performance of the game a little bit if you don't have the best internet or whatever. So I would suggest turning that off. If you want to try having it on and see if it affects your gameplay, you can try having it on. Going down to post-processing effects, definitely have motion blur off in general. It definitely affects your ability to be able to see opponents. Just motion blur in general is a bad thing if you're playing competitive. Film grain, I would suggest having this down to 0. Depth of field, have this off. And now the fidelity FX cast, I have this off. It says enhance the sharpness of scene rendering. Like if I was on PC, this would definitely lower your frames if you had this on. So if you're on PS5 and you want to try and have the smoothest gameplay possible, I would only probably think you should have this off. For fidelity FX cast strength, this started at 50. I didn't really adjust it at all, and I didn't notice a change in the gameplay, so I didn't really touch this. Field of view, this is all up to personal preference. I have it at 120 maxed out. That's just what I like to use. A lot of pro players have it at 120. Some pro players have it at like 110. Some have it at 100. It all depends on your preference. I would suggest trying different ones out. Go into game, see what you like. It just, the only noticeable thing is the higher the field of view, the faster it will seem that everything is moving on your screen. Let's go down to first person camera movement. Definitely have this at least at 50%. That'll help you have a better shot. Your camera won't be shaking as much. Inverted flashbang, definitely have this on. It will, instead of like if you get flashed, your screen won't flash white, it will flash black really quick, and sometimes that just makes it easier to recover from a flashbang, because at least in Modern Warfare 2 the flashbangs were obnoxious and most people had this setting on. So I'm only assuming it's going to be the same for this game because it's on the same engine. Spectator camera, this does not really matter. And that's about it for the graphics settings. Guys, so that wraps up the best possible settings you should be using for this PS5 open beta. Like I said, it doesn't have as many settings you can mess around with for the graphics as PC does, but the controller settings are definitely very important. They will definitely help you out with your gameplay, improve your gameplay. I hope you guys found this video informative. If you did, remember, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the PS5 beta. Hope to catch you in the next one. Peace.